I was about 11 or 12-year-old at the time. The discussion was quite clear within the families. The fear in the area where I lived was called Kiseni, which was quite a deprived area anyway. And the issues were that people were worried about army, people coming in, and especially worried about the girls in the family being raped and molested and killed. So there was a lot of mass killings going on, which were actually observable. You can imagine a 12-year-old watching all this. Idi Amin, what I know now is that he was trying to exterminate Milton Obote, who was the previous president's tribe. He was trying to kill all these tribes. And, watching naked bodies on an open truck, which was horrendous. Also, I used to go fishing in a place called Lake Kabaka on Saturday morning with the rest of the community boys. We catch fishing. And of course, when you went to Lake Kabaka, Kabaka's castle, the king's castle then, Kabaka is king, Kabaka's castle was there. And we also saw atrocities that were happening there as children. So the fear was that you were worried to go out of the house. I went to see Diamonds Are Forever with my dad. And after watching the film, we came back and I started crying because the curfew had just started, and we were rushing home, and the army person started to slap hell out of my father. You had to queue outside the British passport office to go in and put your applications in and all that. So one member of the family queued for the family. And it was me who was chosen to go and queue. And then in the morning, my dad or my granddad I came over with my grandparents. So my grandparents would come over and take over and go in and do the paperwork. And, get the items sorted. But remember, within that, you had the army walking around all the time. And periodically they picked somebody out and wanted to check this stuff and what was in your bag, what were you doing here? So you had to at the 12-year-old, you're looking at him going, holy gods, what's your problem? Now I can say, what's your problem? But at that time I was petrified. I was the only child old enough to queue all through the night there. And the beatings I took from army there, which affect me today I can fill in a passport form for anybody. Yet when I've got to fill in my own, I panic. And I had a radio, which was my pride and joy. Unfortunately, it's not here now. And that radio would work, and every so often the batteries would sort of slow it down. So I opened the back up and rub it, and the music would come back on, and I was sitting there at the table listening to it. The next thing I know, I had 3 guns pointed at me. And I went, whoa, what are you hiding in there? I'm going, take it, have a look. There's nothing, there's an 11, 12-year-old child playing with this. And somebody told the army people I was trying to hide something in there. And they took my radio apart, nothing, and they gave it back to me. Well, it was an experience that I still remember. Late evening, we got taken to London, and the next day then we were shipped out from London to Tonfanau. I remember 3 parts of the camp. 1 was our place, 2 was the canteen area where we all gathered for our meals, which was quite well, There were meals that I could actually relate to rather than like my grandmother used to say, boiled food. There is a flavor in this. So there were flavored foods that I could relate to. And they had a hall where it was converted for the children to go and play and teenagers to go and socialize and, peer group interaction, which was quite good because I spent quite a lot of time down there, getting to know other people, other youth, and enjoying my time there, laughing, joking, playing, taking walks to tow into the local shop there and buying bits and pieces and coming back, or going to the railway station and just looking at people watching and the beach. So I've got fond memories of Tonfanau. That's why I went back. I needed my children to see, look, this is where Daddy came. Although it's empty now, there were fond memories of it. And the people, I really cannot turn around and thank them enough, to be honest. They were there at the time of need. And there wasn't this, in our culture we say bicharo. Bicharo means the poor person, helping this poor person. There was no feelings of that. It was, yeah, here it is. If that's what you want to be, we'll support you. In Towin, there was a hospital. And I had made friends with one of the local youths there who used to work in this hospital. So I went with him, and we used to have this floor mop. It was fantastic because I learned how to use the floor mop in hospital and all that, at something like 12. So I would have loved to remember his name and kept in touch with him, because he made a lot of difference, because he spoke, he came to Tonfanau to come in. He befriended me as a human being rather than a refugee, which was fantastic, I didn't grow up with my dad, I grew up with my grandparents. So my dad went off and I'm the Cinderella version, but in male. My dad remarried, had different children, and he carried on with his life over there. I was raised by my grandparents and adopted by my grandparents. So, you've got rags to riches, back to poverty when we came to Britain, absolute poverty. And then I'm quite okay now, thank you very much. Graduation and education has improved my life a lot. To look at Wales, it reminded you one of home. It is very green, very nice. That's why I came back to Wales now. I love the fact that I can get off the crazy track and be in the mountains in less than 5 minutes. And that was Uganda, because I'd come out of my house, turned the corner. Kiseni was bordering the jungle. So I'd just go straight in the jungle where I'd pick up bananas and nuts. Mind you, watching that the farmer didn't catch me, because if he did, he'd whip my backside. Because of my confusion and my grandfather's lack of English, or my grandmother's, and my sister gone off to Aberystwyth University to study nursing, I was put in a comprehensive school at that time. And then I got told, well, why are you here? You should be in post-grammar. I was quite happy sliding in comprehensive, and I just worked my way through till 16 and left. And then later on in life, I re-educated myself. But that, I am one of those, what's the word? My brother, I've got two half brothers who live in Canada. One is quite staunch anti-British, and the British, the way the British are. And me, I'm quite stupid, because where in the world can you go, right? Where a country will protect you, house you, feed you, educate you, and give you medical care at source. And I am a prime example of that, because I came to Britain, no education. I left school with no education. I worked in a button factory, worked as a mechanic, became a single dad, raised my children. During that time, I met a lovely lady, educated myself with my partner's support, and became a child protection social worker to senior management. And now I was self-employed until November, and only in November, after nearly 12 years of working as a consultant, I've now stepped down to say, time to rest. Only recently I started to get more familiar with my culture. I was more Welsh than Asian in all forms. So that didn't help. But on the other side, one has to say that even now, I am so proud of where I grew up that when I go to universities or when I talk to people about, I always make a point to say I am from the Rhondda Valleys. This is where I'm from. The people that time, oh God, they were fantastic. And they still are, because my children were all graduates. They live not far. My daughter lives in Tonfanau. My other daughter lives in Clantriston. My other daughter lives in Pontypridd, and my other son lives in Blackpool, which is in the Blackwood, which is in the Caerphilly Valley. So we have, and I've come back, and I now work as a clinical family assessor in Rhondda and Taff. The one thing that I realized, quite a few families who come here as families had left, moved off. They were placed in Penrith, and they'd moved off to Birmingham or Leicester to be closer to their own communities, and we couldn't. My mum and dad were on welfare state, spoke English very limited, and I thank Play School for that, because when they came, they didn't speak English at all, and Play School on TV, the wrong window, and that was where my grandma learned to speak broken English. And Irene, which was our neighbor, God rest her soul, she had, I think, a daughter and a son. She was our neighbor, and Selwyn, her husband, always Mrs. Bailey down the road. I remember these names because they were part of my life. Her son was a good friend of mine. We were both goalkeepers in the local team. Played rugby. We did all that. It was a fantastic childhood. Hard, very difficult. But there were good memories of that. I say to people, when I should thank the British government at the time, which was Edward Heath, who actually turned around and kept to the promise the British Empire made to my ancestors, that if your descendants ever need us, we will be there. And Edward Heath in 72 did that. He actually adhered to that and fetched people here.